49ers looking to snap a 4-game road losing skid and in the process get back to 500 on the season and stay in the postseason hunt. Hey, how are you folks? Jason Horowitz. Glad to be with you here on CBSSports.com. It's the NFL Preview Show presented by Tyson Anytizers. They're in Seattle to take on the 4-7 Seahawks. Let's bring in NFL.com's Pat Kirwan to break this down. And Pat, when you look at the 49ers, if they get a win here, would you say with the way that this offense is starting to click that they are a contender for the playoffs?
They're a contender to stay in the race for the division title in the NFC West, but I don't think two teams will come out of there, so they've got to get past the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona, we'll talk about later, maybe getting Kurt Warner back, but they need this win to stay in the race, and we'll be able to talk about them again next week.
Well, that's one of the big parts here because they already beat Arizona earlier this season in Arizona. Right. They still get the Cardinals again at home in San Francisco. So if the Cardinals lose to Minnesota and they can win this game in Seattle, they're only one game back and they'd be right there with Arizona. Having said that, you talked about Kurt Warner. How about Alex Smith? Just how impressed with you with the way he's come along this season?
You know, I love that Alex got his second shot at this thing, and I thought he took a great advantage of what he learned on the sideline. But I'm not ready to extend him a long-term contract and say he's our future. He's going to get plenty of chance here in the last month to prove that. Right now, he's not doing a bad job, though. A touchdown pass every 18 attempts, that's pretty good. And they readjusted the offense for him, and I think that's going to help quite a bit. Keep him in shotgun, be in 11 personnel, 1 tight end, 1 running back, 3 wideouts. We're seeing Michael Crabtree come alive, and when that happens, I think then we can look at Alex and take a hard look at why we should give him the money to stick around.
Yeah, and Seattle ranks 25th in the NFL in pass defense, so this could be a nice game for him and Vernon Davis, who has tied the franchise record mark for tight ends with 9 touchdowns on the season. That record was Brent Jones. When you talk about Seattle last week, Pat, Matt Hasselbeck didn't throw a touchdown. 2 straight games he hasn't thrown a touchdown. It's been Justin Forsett the last couple weeks, but Jim Moore says that if Julius Jones is healthy, he's the starter. Is that the right decision or the wrong one?
Well, I think the coaches basically said you don't lose your job to injury. I don't know why coaches come up with that rule. It really never should apply. It should be the best guy in the hot hand, and the hot hand belongs to Justin Forsett right now. He's got a better yards per carry average. He's a very dynamic receiver, and at the end of the game, I'll bet you Forsett has more carries than Julius Jones. He just won't be out there for the first play of the game when they announce the starters.
And you have to do something here in terms of passing because San Francisco 5th in the NFL against the run. Now, passing has not been the strength for the Seahawks this year in many of these ball games, including the game at San Francisco earlier this year when Hasselbeck was knocked out of the ball game. Do you think this is the week that we finally see Hasselbeck to Houshmandzadeh?
Well, Houshmandzadeh is a little bit of a whiner and a complainer, and he's always looking for the ball. That's not a bad thing. That's just his personality, but he's been like that forever. He's on track for 80 catches. But he should have thought about this before he went to Seattle. They're a pass distribution offense. They're not looking to feature a receiver. They got a quarterback who reads coverage and goes to the open guy. If I was playing against them, I'd do a little doubling up of TJ and get him on that sideline after the first 2 series, whining and complaining. Maybe I can get him from that way as easy as beating him on the field.
All right, Pat, around the nation, this isn't really being looked at as a big game, but it is a big game, especially for the 49ers. Who do you think wins it?
I like San Francisco to go in there. I like where Alex is going with the offense. I like the way they stopped the run. Frank Gore, some people worried last week that he only had 2 yards of carry. Is this new spread offense going to hurt Frank Gore? No, it's not. What's going to happen sooner or later, as soon as Alex is the legit passing threat, Frank Gore will open right up again, much like Thurman Thomas in the old K-Gun, which was an 11 personnel offense. Look for Frank Gore to start having big games starting this week.
Well, he had a big game earlier against Seattle, 207 yards rushing.
That's right.
But 160 of that came on 2 runs. We'll see what happens this week at 4:15 p.m. Eastern. Pat, we'll see you back in New York next week.
Take care, Jace.
All right, folks, for more on this game, stay right here with CBSSports.com. That'll do it for the NFL Preview Show presented by Tyson Anytizers, the meaty Good Man Snack. For Pat Kirwan, I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.